I'm going to do a casual trip report on a. It's not, well, it is a chemical. Everything's a chemicals, really. On nutmeg, I guess. Yeah. So I've only really tripped on nutmeg once in my life, but because it's a substance people trip on and like to talk about and acknowledge that they've tried and such, I'll give my experience report out. You'll understand the reason why when I've finished my experience report. So I'll begin the story by saying I ingested a fuck ton of nutmeg. I think about 40 grams or so of nutmeg. It's for anyone who's not taken nutmeg before. That's a hell of a lot of nutmeg to take. That's like 2 whole nutmegs, and the ground stuff is what I had, and it's awful. It tastes nice, when you have a little bit in a pie or in your food or whatever, but you're only having like half a gram in the whole fucking meal. It's not the same as eating an entire 40 grams. The stuff tastes awful, makes you want to puke, makes you feel like you've got extremely bad dry mouth while you're eating it. And it's just hard as fuck to swallow. It's just horrible stuff. It's really clumpy. Yeah, it's just not a nice experience. But anyways, so I took this 40 grams or whatever it was at the time. This was many years ago, so it's hard to remember the exact dosage, but I know it was enough. Like, I know, when it's enough. So, yeah, I took all this nutmeg, and I thought to myself, alright, here it comes, I'm ready for this shit. I've heard that it'll make you trip. This only cost me like fucking 70p. This is fucking a cheap way to trip. Or that's the equivalent of about 40 American cents or 40 Australian cents, something like that. I don't know the going rates. But yeah, I took the nutmeg and I thought to myself, yeah, I'll trip. Waited a couple of hours and I thought, this is bunk. This is fucking bullshit. Because, I wasn't tripping. And I decided, well, I've been fleeced, People on the internet just saying this shit to troll. They just, they're just being idiots. They're just fucking with me, kind of thing. Didn't think much of it. Went to bed quite frustrated. Because you think you're going to trip for a very small amount of money, and you've heard other people say they're tripping. So I goes to bed. I have my nice dreams. I get in, feeling a little bit down and pissed off. And then, yeah, when I wake up in the morning, I wake up tripping absolute fucking buggery. Like, everything was warping around me. Everything was sort of upside down. It didn't really change colours as such. I felt horrible, though. It was probably the worst experience I've had on drugs, to be honest. I remember walking forward and forgetting what I was doing and having like an intense blackout and being all the way downstairs, which would have taken me a whole minute after what to me appeared to be about 2 seconds, and sort of being confused and being like, whoa, what's going on? I remembered feeling like I wasn't in reality, sort of like feeling like objects were disappearing and coming back. I don't know if that actually happened or if I just thought it was happening. I remember having extremely bad heart palpitations. It was horrible. I could hear it beating and I could feel it going, oof, oof. I felt difficulty breathing. I don't know if that was real or imagined, but it felt like it was really, really hard and really horrible to breathe. My entire throat felt like it was swelling up. Extremely dry throat, extremely dry mouth, and a very horrible, horrible, nasty taste, kind of like a bitter, very, very slightly acidic, extremely bitter, just horrible, horrible taste in my mouth. I remember having fairly severe, like, heat around my body, sort of felt like having a little head, like my head was going boof, boof, and it was like all over numbness and very slight pain underneath the numbness. and sort of a lightheadedness, but not the nice lightheadedness that you feel like lightheadedness where you're dazed and confused. My eyes felt heavy and tired and really dry and sore. My body felt like it was contracting. I tried to pee, I just couldn't pee, and when I did pee, barely anything came out. It felt like I couldn't eat, I couldn't breathe, and I tried to go to sleep, and I was just tripping so hard and so ill that I basically couldn't. To be honest, I would just describe the whole trip as a fucking horrible fever, and as a result, I never did it again. Not because I would do a bad experience again, to try and see if I can get anything else out of it. It's because I knew, like, I'd got as much out of it as I could. I was tripping to absolute fucking buggery. I could feel my arms and stuff going through stuff. I felt like I was teleporting to other places sometimes. I felt like I was in another world. So I was barely understanding where I was. I just felt ill, though, you know? Like, it wasn't like you're tripping and you're like, oh, I'm fucking tripping. I can feel this, the other dimensions. I can feel the colours. No, I was just like, oh, I'm ill. I don't know what's going on. I can't pee. I'm going to another world. I was like a patient in a bloody mental ward, an upset patient in a mental ward, not a happy patient in a mental ward. Or someone with dementia who has a fever. It was just horrible, physically horrible, like horrible sweats. I couldn't wee. I couldn't move properly because I was just my head was feeling so horrible. I had horrible fucking heart palpitations. Couldn't breathe. My throat's choking up. Everything tastes awful. It was just it's just not a pleasant experience. Granted, right, you do trip. It took me 8 hours before it kicked in because that's how long it was until I woke up. As in, I had 6 hours sleep. Oh, it might have been 9 hours. My perception might be out because it was a couple of hours. Then I decided to give it a miss. Could have taken me out or fall asleep. So 8 to 9 hours is when it kicked in for me, but it might kick in earlier for other people. Some people say 6 or 7 hours. I can't confirm that, but it sounds reasonable. But yeah, I just wouldn't recommend it. As I say, I mean, it makes you trip. It's cheap. If it was slightly less bad, if I didn't have the heart pulp, nah. Like, to be honest, it's just not good. You can't say if I just didn't have the heart palpitations and if I didn't have this, and I'd have to get rid of all of the horrible stuff from it really for it to even justify the trip. It just felt confused and ill, like really severely ill. I feel like if you have too much of that stuff, you probably just die. To be honest, I don't know though. I don't know the pharmacology. I'm just being dramatic with it. But honestly, it feels that bad. It's just awful. So yeah, in conclusion, my personal recommendation to me is don't ever take nutmeg again. And for that reason, I haven't. But I honestly feel like I can recommend to other people that nutmeg's just not worth doing. It sounds daft, like someone coming up to you and saying nutmeg's not worth doing. It's like the cake is a lie, or like I'm talking about some kind of made up drug, like, oh, you don't want to eat 500 grams of cheese, that shit'll fuck with you. But really, honestly, a lot of nutmeg it's a horrible experience. Anyways, I think I've had enough of a bitching session about nutmeg. I think I'll end it on that note, and yeah, stay safe, don't take nutmeg. And yeah, thank you for listening.